All right, beautiful people. So we are getting ready to do our advanced getting started training. So thank you so much for jumping on with me this afternoon. And we're going to be walking through our brand partner timeline. And so whether you are seeing yourself in these different spots in here, or maybe you're looking at this in the perspective of your brand partners and what you want to be doing with them and the team. Either way, the process is the same. This is what I'm going to tell you that I do with the people that join me. So this is my brand partner timeline, what I would recommend that you do with the people that trusted you enough to jump on board with us. Because man, is that not an honor and a privilege to bring our people in? We kind of have one job here, right? We got to gather our people, and then we've got to get them paid, right? And then we've got to move them along, move them around the bases. So this is how we're going to do it. So the minute you join me, right, the second you enroll, I am going to work to get you proficient in boards. It is the backbone of our entire system is this program that allows you to copy and paste and get all of the content out. So I want to make sure that you feel so comfortable with it, right? It's new, it's something different. So we want to make sure that you are comfortable and feel good about it. Next, I'm going to actually make your first post with you. Ha, crazy enough. So we're going to walk through and I'm going to have a moment of awkward with you because if we're on a Zoom, most of this is going to be via Zoom if you're with me, and I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to wait here while you do it. So I'm going to help them, talk to them about it. We're going to, talk about what it's going to look like and all of those. And then I'm going to wait and be quiet while they make that first post. And then before we get done, I'm going to go love on their post. Okay. So we're going to do that together. Many times I'm actually going to help them schedule their entire first week because then we know that they're going to be making money before they ever have to worry about that again. I'm going to invite them to Partner Co Nation and any specific team groups that you may have. I'm going to make sure that they're in there. Make sure they're on Telegram and our specific Telegram channel. And then I'm going to brag on the income producing activity Zoom. I'm going to tell them why they want to be on there. I'm going to make sure that they have the link saved to their phone and on their calendar so that they don't miss the Zooms that I want them to plug into. So that's the minute they get started. Next, when they start moving those boxes, I'm going to make sure that they are really comfortable with the customer conversion flow and let them know that what we do here is so much more than share a box of drops. Yes, I want the $86 or the $56, depending on how you're selling them, right? I'm going to dance in my kitchen every single time to this day that I move a box of drops, but because I know it's so much bigger. It's not that profit. It is that now I've got a person in my funnel that I can move around the bases to go create something amazing, not only for, our team, but for them and their life. So I'm going to walk them through that customer conversion flow. And then as soon as they are ultimate, I've got to first of all celebrate. I got to brag on and let them know that they did a great job. And I'm so proud of them because Ultimate is huge. They just set themselves up for max pay for the life of their business. Then I got to also make sure they get paid. So I've got to confirm their subscription. I've got to set up their direct deposit, walk them through how to do that. And then I've got to show them how to leverage their next order. Because, once you hit Ultimate, and you've moved those 30 boxes, there's a good chance that you're going to keep selling them, right? Like they just keep going. And so we want to make sure that they know that they can take advantage of that new volume bonus and place their next order in depth so that they maximize their pay. Because if you're buying a 10 pack, that's an extra $150 in your pocket. If you're buying 30 packs, that's an extra $450 in your pocket. A 4 pack, it's an extra $60 in your pocket. So that is money that none of us want to give away. So we want to make sure that they're comfortable with how to leverage and what does that look like. And then as soon as they're starting a team, I'm going to show them in their back office, okay, this is how you know where to enroll and where to place your next person. Here's how you check your volume. Here's how you know who is doing what inside of your business. So these are kind of when I train on these different levels. So if you're like, I'm right over here, well, don't worry, you're going to get through all of these spots, but this is when I introduce these items. So the first thing that I just want to kind of point out here is this little section on boards. And if your board looks different, Don't fret, you're going to have something different. A lot of the teams, the smaller teams will have kind of custom boards that will have additional information for their specific team. So if you have something different, don't worry, okay? It's all going to, align. We're going to have a lot of the same stuff. But if you are on this one, this is kind of the general one for everybody. You will have a little section right here that says start here. I use this with everyone that I enroll. I send it to them first before we get on that first training Zoom, and it really helps with frustration because a lot of times when somebody's setting up mostly boards, okay, when they're setting it up, there is a learning curve, there's a tutorial, like there's a lot inside of that app to get it going. And if you are together for that, it can be a little intimidating for that new person to have somebody staring at them while they're trying to do it. So they tend to rush and they don't get as much as they can out of that tutorial. So I make sure that I send this to them, and it is going to have like maybe 4 videos in there. And it's got lots of different steps that it's going to take them, maybe 30 minutes to work through, but it'll help you help them on that first training so you're not sitting there for 30 minutes while they walk through it, okay? So I send this to them first. It's going to make your life easier. It's going to make their life easier. So highly recommend that. And then to set up their subscription. Um, a lot of times people can get a little intimidated by the color week. Just know that there are no tripwires here. Partner Co. wants to pay you. Okay, so if we mess up anywhere in here, we might miss a week in that moment, right? Where like you're like, oh shoot, I wasn't qualified, I didn't get paid on Friday. Call corporate and they will shift everything. They're not going to take your money, they're going to get it out to you. It might just come a little bit late because we made a mistake, okay? Don't fret, mistakes happen. Partner Co understands that, we understand that, but we can avoid that through a couple of steps, okay? So first of all, when I'm scrolling down on my phone, if I'm looking on my dashboard, I log into my back office, I'm going to see a circle that's going to tell me what my qualifying week is, and it's going to be a color. So I know that my qualifying week, or whoever this is going to be green, okay? So when I go over to my subscribe button, it's going to tell me again, okay, your qualifying week is green. So it's going to remind me again. And then when I set my run date, if it doesn't match, if this is purple or red or blue, well, I know that I didn't pick the right date because the green doesn't match the green, doesn't match the green. So just know there's multiple spots where it's going to tell you what color your week is. And what I'm going to do is I am going to just go shop. Okay, so I'm going to go into my subscription. I'm going to go search for my products. I'll tell you what I recommend. I do a superfood. So I'm a Limu gal. Okay, I love my Limu, but you pick your superfood. And then I do Renew. Renew is actually my favorite product. I use the drops every day, but I'll tell you, I don't miss a night with the Renew. I love the Renew. And these two, in my opinion, many products, we have over 100 products, so you pick the ones that work for you. But these are really great support for my health transformation. And so I want everybody on Renew, and then grab some things to support it to make sure that you get to 100 PV, okay? Now, if you guys could see to my right, I have probably every single product that this company offers. So I'm not saying limit to that, but there's one thing that you won't see in here, and that's the drops. I don't have the drops on my subscription, and I don't recommend that you do either. Why? Because you're buying them in bulk. So why pay 123 for a box of drops by buying it single when you could pay, 77 by getting it in bulk? So I get my drops. I just grab one of the boxes when I make a bulk order. I grab one for me and then I sell the rest of them. Okay. So it's just going to save you a little bit of money. So it's one thing you'll just see in my subscription. You do whatever you want. You're an independent business owner, but that's what I would recommend. So you're going to grab the product. You're going to say continue to check out, and then it's going to show you a date, and it's going to say, don't miss out. Make sure it's on the right color week. Well, when I go look at the calendar, I'm gonna see like this one's blue, this one's red, this one's purple. What color was I looking for? Green. So I'm gonna pick the first green week to me. Okay. I'm gonna click on it. The date will fill in for me, and then we're good to go. Okay. So it's just a couple steps there. And there's lots of places where you can confirm that, okay, it is green, it's all good, and I'm done. Okay, and we can save it. You can always edit it, you can change it every time, but do try to keep it on that same week. And if you need to shift your week, call corporate and they'll make sure you don't lose your qualification. Okay, now next is direct deposit. This is banking, so be patient, right? Know that it's going to take a minute. You're going to have to save and submit and confirm, because this is your paycheck. Again, if you make a mistake and your check doesn't show up, call customer support. They want you to have your money. They're not going to steal it. It's not going to disappear. Just call them and say, uh-oh, I forgot to say something, and they'll get it fixed. Okay, so don't fret. But how are we going to set it up? We're going to go to My Money. We're going to go over to Partner Copay in the menu that pops up, and then we're going to see another option to click on Partner Copay. So I'm going to click this plus sign. Now, very quickly, as soon as you've earned $600, you're going to need to make sure that you put in your social security number. I would do it today, get it done beforehand so you don't miss a check for that. But again, they'll fix it if they need to. But go ahead and click on this plus sign next to Partner Copay, and you're going to see a menu. Now, there'll be e-wallet. There's going to be other options. You want direct deposit. That will go directly into your paycheck or into your bank account. Let's do that, okay? And next to direct deposit, this will say 0. So it'll say 0% direct deposit. I want you to get all your paycheck. So make sure you tell it 100%, okay? And then you're going to fill in your banking information. You're going to have to, confirm this, confirm that. Just know that you'll just be patient. Make sure all your numbers are correct. You'll click submit. And then at the bottom of the screen, there'll be a second option to confirm that you're getting 100% of your paycheck, and you'll click save. Okay, so it will just, again, this is a patience moment. Just walk through it carefully because this is your paycheck and they're going to grow. So we want you to get all of it. Okay, so that is direct deposit. Now, next is, how do I find, the number one question I'll get is somebody will call me and they'll say, I have a new brand partner. Where do I put them? Where do they go? Right? How do I know where to place the next person in my team? If it's your first person, it's super simple. They're going to go in your first spot. If it's your second person, it's really simple. It's going to go in that second line, right? You're going to start those 2 lines. We need at least 2. But then we might have some questions, okay? So how are we going to find that out? Well, we go back to My Money, and I'm going to go down to volume. Okay, so My Money and then volume, and that's going to open up a volume report. Now, yours might look a little different, right? You might have 5 lines here. You might have 3. You might have 1. Okay, so this is just kind of a generic that's got 2 lines of business growing. If you only have 1, well, then it's simple. You got to start that second line. If you have 5, then the process is going to be the same. I'm going to look for the lowest number, and that is where I'm going to place the next person. So the way I tell people to remember is red means stop. Do not place your next person in your red line. And I know it looks kind of pink, okay? But this is our power line. So our power line is always going to be a little reddish pink. It might have a little red P over here labeling it power line. And then our pay lines will either be white, and then as you get more established, they'll have a little L over here for pay line. Okay, so this little tiny green L. Now for my power line, what am I stopping? Only my placement. So I still work with them. I still do the parties, still do the events, I still run around, I still support, I do all the things for my power line that I do for my pay line, except I do not place my next person in that power line. And just know that every single time you enroll somebody, you got to go look at this report, because guess what? It doesn't stay, right? Today, this might be line 2, might be my power line, but tomorrow, line 1 might be my power line, because these will flip back and forth depending on how your team is growing. So if I get a rock star, all of a sudden my line 1 might flip over. So you want to be checking in here at all times. Every time before I place somebody, I personally just put it in that waiting room. And then the next day, before the end of the day, I might go look and see where I need to place them. And that allows me to be strategic. And we can talk more about that later. But I just always look right here, and I'm going to look for this, the green line means go, so I'm going to place in my line 1 in this example. Now this report shows me some other stuff too. So I'm going to click on these and you can see that we're going to get an additional report in here and it tells me some interesting information. So first of all, it's going to tell me the person's name and their email address. Why do I care? Why do I care what their email address is? Especially me, I don't check email. So if you ever email me, you're never going to get a response. You got to text me and say, hey, there's an email waiting. Why do I care though? Well, because I'm going to look at this and I'm going to jot down, we'll talk about why in a minute. I'm going to jot down anybody that the name and the email address don't quite match. I'm like, why would Kate Bush have an email address that says Josh Smith? That doesn't make sense. Like, that's weird. Well, because most likely Josh is placing an order under Kate. And I need to know that. So I'm actually going to write down the name Josh Smith. So just keep that in mind. We're going to write that down. Now, the other thing that this is going to look, I'm going to be able to see here is what are these orders? So I sort by regular. I don't look at the subscriptions. Am I glad for them? Yeah. I want every line of mine to be optimized first thing Saturday morning, the minute that those subscriptions go out, but I'm not going to focus on them. What I'm going to focus on is the regular orders because this tells me who's making these extra orders through the system of growth. And I'm going to look at the PV amounts to see where they're at. And mostly I am looking for kind of the anomalies. So if they're not divisible by either 208, 500, or 1500 PV, then I'm going to look at that order and say, what's going on? And I'm going to give you an example right here. We've got Aretha. She's got an order for 576. If I click on the details, it's going to show me exactly what this order was. This one was 11 boxes of drops. So you might think, oh, great, right? She sold over 10, she sold 11. But what I'm thinking is, oh, she spent at least an extra 30 bucks on one of those boxes, right? Because she bought a 10 pack and then just a 1 pack. And so I'm going to call her, I'm going to congratulate her, I'm going to love on her, but I'm going to say, hey, next time, what you might want to do, hang on to that 11th order for a couple days, see if we can grab at least 2 more, because that would pay for that 4 pack. And then you're going to earn at least $30 more per box, right? So it's just a way that I can see, are you running the system? Did I miss a little training point somewhere in here? What's going on with the team? So I actually look at this every Wednesday just to kind of see what's going on inside the organization to make sure that somebody hasn't gone off, right, into a different area because that can happen. We get a new product, I get excited about it, and I start focusing on a different product. Maybe I fall in love with something and they don't know that we don't have a system built around it or whatever it may be. They don't know that they're maybe doing a lot more work for a lot less income. So that takes leadership to come in and say, oh my gosh, congratulations. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing. And then lovingly knowing that everybody here is independent and a volunteer, right? We're nobody's boss, but we might just gently try to course correct if we see somebody getting off path right there, right? Getting a little off track. Now, the next thing that I'm going to look at in my back office to make sure that I'm helping my people the most is the striking distance report. And I love this report because it kind of gives me an idea of where everybody is at. Again, I look at this every Wednesday, and that allows me to have the most time to help people. So I'm going to look at Wednesday and I'm going to sort by the current week. I always look at week 3. Now, if you've never looked at this before, you got to start with week 4 and realize that we only have a couple of days to get them to ultimate. So if I look at this every single week, on Wednesday, if somebody's in week 3 and they're not ultimate yet, they have 10 days. And I know I can get them there in 10 days. So if I only have 2 days, that can be a little bit more challenging. So I would just recommend that you look at this every week, sort by the week, and then focus on week 3 moving forward. So today you might have to start with week 4, but next week start with week 3 because you already took care of week 4, right? So week 4 moving back. But we're going to look at week 3. And what am I looking at? And I'm going to look at this with a piece of paper in hand. Okay. And I'm going to jot people down in some different categories. So you already wrote down one name. You wrote down Josh Smith, and that's under people that are ordering under somebody else. Now I'm going to look at who's ultimate, and I'm going to write all of their names down. Then I'm going to look at who is not quite there. So we've got Tina. She's elite. So I'm going to put her in not ultimate yet. And I'm going to write down what she lacks. She lacks 192 PV to get to ultimate. So I'm going to write that down. Whitney needs 424. Olivia's ultimate, Stevie's ultimate, Dolly needs 500, Cindy needs 500, Linda needs 500, Kate, oh, Kate's only to business level, so she needs a little bit more. She only has 576, so she needs 424 to get to elite, but she needs 924 to get to ultimate. So we're going to do some math there. Aretha is business level, so she's has 500 PV, so she needs 1,000 to get to ultimate. So I'm going to write all that down and then I'm going to go work the phones. Okay, I'm going to go call my team. So anyone that is week 3 that is not ultimate yet, I'm going to call and I'm going to love on them. Oh my goodness, congratulations, you've already achieved elite. Do you know what that means? Right? Do you understand that that means you get 25% new volume bonus for life of your business? And do you realize that you're only X away from ultimate, which means you'd get 30% like max paid for the life of your business? Would you want it? Right? If I could help you get there, would you want to? She says, yes, absolutely. Then I'll say, okay, let's go do a Facebook Live. Or let's go grab a couple people together in your living room. So we need some pre-orders, whatever it looks like. But I'm going to offer some solutions for her to get that 200 PV so that she gets to ultimate. Now, the next category is anybody that's ultimate. And I haven't loved on them yet. I haven't celebrated them yet. I haven't congratulated yet. Maybe I haven't even met them yet, right? I'm going to call them up and I'm just going to brag on them. Congratulations, great work. Tell me a little bit. Are these all local? Did you ship most of them? People aren't, they're around the world. Give me just an idea of what's going on with your business so that I know where I need to be. Because maybe I'm going to offer to come over and do a drop talk with them, with these customers in order to convert them into brand partners, right? And then lastly, anybody like that Josh that we wrote down in the very beginning that is placing orders under somebody else, again, I'm going to brag on them. Great work. Congratulations. And then I'm going to offer support in some way, in person, online, but how can we go help them take their business to the next level? So what does that look like? Usually looks like a customer appreciation event, a drop talk, hormones and health. I don't care what you call it. Okay. I don't care what you call it, but our goal is to get people together, either virtually or in person. And we're going to be short and sweet to the point. We're going to use the conversion slide deck that's on boards, and we're going to make it duplicatable as possible. So what does that look like? Okay, first of all, short and sweet. If it's online, it's no more than 15 minutes. Okay. Uh, well, you guys have been on here for a long time, right? How many of you have I lost already, right? Like our attention spans are small and we don't want to keep people on all night because they're going to say, can I do this? Would I invite my people to this? Right? Is this something that I feel good about? And if they say, oh, I don't have time for this, or I wouldn't want to bring my friend to that, or I couldn't do that, well, then we're not going to bring them in. So that's why it's got to be simple. We don't want to be the hostess with the mostest. We want to be the simplest event possible so that they step in and say, huh, I could do that, right? You don't need a big wig there. It just you, most likely the person that got you started on the drops and the slide deck appreciation where we walk through the options for them, can, celebrate any achievements that they've had, answer any questions, and then we let them go on with their day. So that is the advanced getting started training. I'm going to go ahead and stop my share. We're going to stop the recording.